Today we put together a little bit of the Mercedes ML system. This is the same system except for the stereo that's in all the Mercedes, and we're going to help you to troubleshoot a problem which is no audio for the Bose system that has the fiber optic system. Of course, each unit has its own particular problems. We've seen the changer say no disc, no cartridge, CD error. These are all things we take care of. The amplifier can have static or scratchy output. It can also have a clicking sound come from it, which helps determine that this amplifier is bad. Specifically for the ML stereo, it's very common in the system to have no audio and this be a stereo problem. We've also seen the FM be intermittent or out, and both AM and FM be out. These are all things that we can take care of here in the shop. As for the fiber optic system, there are usually anywhere between 3 and 5 pieces that are in this loop. Now the fiber optics is the orange wires that usually come out of the back of each unit, and what they do is they complete a loop of every piece. You can have the amplifier, you can have the stereo, then the CD changer. There's also the tele-aid that's located in the car, and if you have the telephone is also in the fiber optic loop. And it is a loop because each piece communicates with each other through fiber optics. If there is a fiber optic problem, you're going to end up with what we have here on the bench with no audio. So the fiber optic loop is what we're going to troubleshoot here to see what is causing no audio. Again, there's 5 pieces, can be up to 5 pieces. You may have to call the dealership with your VIN to ask the location of these pieces, but usually the changer's either in the glove box or in the rear of the vehicle. The stereo is always in the dash, of course, and the amplifier can be located in the rear of the vehicle in the trunk, and on the ML it's up under the dash on the driver's side. So let's show you a little bit more with this fiber optics. I'm going to turn the stereo around here, and we have our 2 wires. Again, the fiber optics will loop from one piece to the next, from this piece to the next piece, and so on till all pieces communicate with each other. And let me show you what we're looking for on the fiber optics. We've turned the stereo around, and we have our fiber optic connector coming into the back of the stereo here. And the fiber optics has a little trigger usually on the top of the connector, and it releases. If we release the one from the CD changer here, we have 2 different style connectors. One is a 90-degree, one is a straightforward. And there's different ways of taking these apart and dealing with troubleshooting this system. So now we've removed the fiber optic cable from the back of the stereo. Now we have the connector and the connector on the stereo, and what we're going to do is put these both right up here together. I'm going to turn the stereo off, and then I'm going to turn the stereo on. Now if you noticed, the connector here blinked red, and we also had a blinking on the bottom connector. What this is telling us is this one is sending out the information that's needed, and wherever the information is coming from, whichever piece is in the loop, there is no standard as to the order of this loop. That piece is good too. You can either troubleshoot this back to the next piece, or what we do is go to the next piece, which in this case would be the amplifier, and we would remove the cable, turn the stereo on and off, and also look for the red blink at the end of each cable. Now if you're going through the system and you recognize that in some cases, some of the models we have a defective tele-aid that sits specifically, I've seen it in the ML again, under the passenger seat. We've learned a few tricks to get your audio back. Now to keep audio in this system, on the Bose system, you have to have the stereo and you have to have the amplifier in the loop. You can bypass all the other pieces in this loop, but and the audio will work. So if you troubleshoot to one of these fiber optic cables on the back of the unit that is not blinking when you turn it on, in other words, the connector on this stereo will say we've troubleshot this to the, in this particular case for an example, we've troubleshot to the CD changer not giving its blinking red light. The dealership sells what's called a fiber optic coupler, which is this little piece here. This is good for usually 98 to 2002. In 2003, Mercedes changed their fiber optic coupler. but this has silver tabs on two sides, and what we're going to do is lift the silver tab on one side, lift the silver tab on the other side. Now we're back to the 90-degree connector here, and what we're going to do is there's little pry marks here where you can remove this connector, or remove the cover and remove the fiber optics from this connector. And we're going to work down the edge of the side. Again, this is the part number here on the bench for this fiber optic coupler to help you bypass the piece that's not doing its job here in the car. Okay, we're going to remove the cover, and always on these connectors there's a flat side and a angled side. The angled side will always have the red, the square side will always have the white. Now what we're going to do with these is take our fiber optic coupler. These fit only one side of each of these couplers, and put them together. The coupler holds them together. So what in reality what we've just done is bypass the CD changer. You can turn the stereo off and back on and you should have audio. Otherwise there's still a fiber optic loop problem. For the 90-degree connectors, like I said, you pry them apart gently. On this particular radio we have the straight model, and what you do on this one is with a little pry bar, pry up this little gray tab on one side, and then the fiber optic cables pull right out. Again, these are keyed, so they will only go back in and fit in one spot. And push these all the way in and lock that back in. Now that should be able to help you troubleshoot the fiber optic system. If you have other problems with your equipment and so on, we have seen quite a bit of it. Give us a call if you have questions. Thank you for watching.